Trump's message to voters: re-elect me or risk the American dream.
Evening News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. With less than 10 weeks to go before Americans go to the polls to elect their president, Donald Trump accepted the Republican nomination with a blistering attack on his rival, Joe Biden. He told voters that his Democrat challenger would endanger America and that his radical leftist views would destroy the American dream. In a speech that lasted more than an hour in front of a packed crowd of supporters at the White House, Mr. Trump praised his handling of the pandemic, but a topic not on the agenda was support for the black community. Well, tonight, thousands of people are gathered in Washington for a civil rights march in the wake of the police shooting of Jacob Blake in Wisconsin. More on that in a moment, but first, our Washington correspondent Robert Moore on the president's pitch for a second term. Well, here the government has been accused of pressuring people into returning to offices after it was suggested their jobs might be at risk. Next week, an advertising campaign will urge people to go back to stop city centres becoming ghost towns. But the approach has been criticised by business leaders who say the government must recognise the world of work has changed. Our political correspondent Libby Vina has more. And the government has confirmed tonight that some of the local lockdowns in the northwest of England are to be lifted next week. Haulier Ronan Hughes has admitted the manslaughter of 39 people who died in the back of a lorry. The bodies of the men, women and children, all from Vietnam, were discovered in a trailer on an industrial estate in Grays in Essex last October. Hughes is accused of being one of the ringleaders in a human trafficking operation. Chloe Keedy is... Still to come on the ITV Evening News. But first, most children are already back at school in Northern Ireland and all have returned in Scotland. Next week, it will be the turn of pupils in England and Wales, and a survey out today says most schools have made the necessary changes to welcome them back. 97% of schools report they will be reopening from Tuesday, when it means a whole new world of bubble groups, staggered breaks and a new emphasis on hygiene. But what do children... Well, the pandemic has put many events on pause this year, including football, of course. But tomorrow, Wembley will play host to the Community Shield contest for both the men and women's teams in a historic double-header. It will be the first time in more than a decade that the women's match has taken place and will be broadcast live on television. Well, there are hopes, too, that after a difficult year, this weekend's action will raise the profile of the women's game. Juliet Bremner reports. Let's bring you some of the day's other news now. And Henry Long, one of the teenage killers of PC Andrew Harper, is applying for permission to appeal against his 16-year prison sentence for manslaughter. Nur Inayat Khan was an unlikely heroine in Britain's fight against the Nazis in the Second World War. A Muslim and a pacifist, she became a British spy and was the first female radio operator to be parachuted into Nazi-occupied France. She was later betrayed and died in a German concentration camp. Today, her London home became a symbol of her bravery with a new blue plaque. Paul Davies has a story. The statue to Princess Diana, commissioned by William and Harry in tribute to their mother, will be revealed to the nation on what would have been her 60th birthday. Finally, you may remember the remarkable story of Tony Hudgell, known as Bear. The 5-year-old had to have both legs amputated as a baby, but that didn't stop him walking 10 kilometres to raise more than £1 million for charity. And if he wants to get around more quickly, he might now be in luck. Today, he was made an honorary racing driver, complete with a shiny new car. Rupert Evelyn went to meet him. Good luck indeed. That is it. Charlene is back with news at 10, but from me and all the team, whatever you're doing, have a great evening. Bye-bye.